Love, light, and peace, you all. Let's see, let's make sure it's unmuted. It's unmuted. Love, light, and peace, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Poetry Unraveled. I think I'll take these off today. Welcome to Poetry Unraveled. It is I, your host, Queen Essence. And I'm excited for today's episode. If you are here, then you know that today is Friday, and we normally air on Thursdays. And if you are new here, our normal broadcast is every Thursday at 8 p.m. However, I am divinely guided. So when I am guided not to record on Thursday, I'm usually guided to record on Friday or to air it on Friday. And that is the case for today. It was best for me to record today instead of yesterday, or to air it today instead of yesterday. So here I am. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Right? I wish this could be more interactive, right? Because I do look forward to having an exchange with you all. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for your energy. I'm grateful for your presence. And I will that you are experiencing love magnified, peace magnified, abundance magnified, happiness magnified, and that you are in the reality of every day getting better and better and better. So I have already cleared the space. I have already opened up the channel. So we shall begin. There is an experience that we have as humans where we have certain ideas, goals, or plans in our mind that we would like to achieve or experience. And because this is not our plan, however, we are co-creating with Source, with the Most High, with God, whomever it is that you, um, I don't want to say believe, trust in, commune. And even if you use believe, whoever you believe in, whatever resonates with you is really what I want to say. Whomever resonates with you, interchange it with anything that I say so that the idea can be received in the manner that resonates best with you. However, we realize, or we have to realize, that we are co-creating, right? This is not our plan. However, we still come up with plans, which is wise, right? It's wise to have a plan, especially when you're doing what it is that resonates with you, especially when you're pursuing what resonates with your spirit in your being that you should be doing, or brings you happiness or peace or balance, right? However, there's an experience that because this is not our plan and we are coming up with a plan, and sometimes our plan is not in alignment with the ultimate plan. Sometimes things don't take place the way that we desire them to, the way that we envision them, right? And when that happens, as a human, we get to choose. I won't even say human. Rewind. As a divine being here on earth that is directly connected to Source, we get to choose how we want to view it, right? How we think about it. And how we think about it and how we view it is very key, right? It's very, very, very important for what our future will look like, because we can take it on, take it as a downer, beat ourselves up, judge ourselves, be emotional, um, and sometimes get stuck, right? Because it didn't happen the way that we intended for it, planned for it, wanted it, or sometimes needed it, right? And I'm going to say needed it, right? And when we choose to align ourselves with those lower frequencies and stay there, right? Because it's a human thing to experience disappointment sometimes. It's a human thing to be a little frustrated sometimes, right? To feel like it didn't happen the way it's supposed to, right? However, it's not okay for us to stay there, to remain stuck, or to continue to perpetuate the additional thoughts that would like to come in that's also of a lower frequency. Because ultimately, that energy that we're putting out is sending out the signal that because it didn't happen the way that we wanted, then we're not open to any other way or any other avenue. What I'm learning in my journey is there are so many different ways to get to 100, right? And sometimes I can see clearly 99 plus 1. You know what I'm saying? Equals 100. I know what 80 plus 20 looks like in it equaling 100. I even know what, 70 and 30, 50 and 50, right? However, we don't always think about, 53 plus or 17 plus. You know what I'm saying? So I'm learning to widen my scope. And I thought I had a wide scope. I thought from all the experiences that I've had being here on earth, my scope is pretty wide. However, these last few years, particularly these last 2-3 years, my scope has widened even more to understand that there's so many different ways that this can unfold, right? I can have an idea or plan or goal in my mind, and I can line up and do all of the things that resonate for me to do. I don't even go as far as I do all of the things that I'm supposed to do. And things still can unveil themselves in a completely different manner in which I had originally planned, right? And there is a maturity, a spiritual maturity that is available to us when we recognize that nothing is happening against us, right? Everything is truly happening for us, for our greater good, for the highest good of all, right? And it takes a mature individual to realize that at some point on the journey, we have to take our hands off the wheel. You know how that saying is, Jesus take the wheel. Jesus take the wheel. It's like, and it's interesting because I feel like we never actually take our hand off the wheel, right? However, what happens is we take one hand off the wheel. Source has a hand on the wheel, our spirit team, our guides, our higher self, whomever it is that you trust in. And then on the other side of the wheel is our hand, right? However, our hand is we're not holding it tight, right? Like we're so comfortable that we're able to lightly hold the wheel. And I've seen some people drive like this, right? Where they're not holding the wheel tight. They have their hand on the wheel in such a way that they're like gently guiding the wheel, right? And then when they're driving, their hand is resting. It's not gripping tight, right? So we get to a point in this spiritual maturity where we realize the grip is too damn tight. Like release the grip, because the way that we want to steer is not the way that is designed for us to go. It's not the best direction for us to go in for where we're ultimately supposed to be. Now, it may get us to where we want to go. However, where we want to go is based upon a limited sight, right? It's not with the consideration of all that is, because we're not able to see all that is, right? Even with those of us that have been bestowed clairvoyance, right? Like we're able to see further past the surface into the unseen. Those of us that can interact as a intercessor with the unseen, right? We're still not able to see it all, right? So we have to realize that there's more available and there's more that's happening than what the eye can see. So we got to loosen the grip, right? And when we loosen the grip with the spiritual maturity, when we loosen the grip, we get to see the magic, the majesty, the power of the unseen. And that requires great trust, right? A deep level of trust. And what I'm also finding out, discovering, living in real time on my journey is that there's degrees to trust, right? Like I've always been one that trusted in the unseen, trusted in the Most High, wanted to be pleasing, right? I've allowed and experienced and surrendered and sacrificed so much in the spirit of it, standing on the definite of I know the unseen got me. I know the Most High got me. And I know that nothing is going to take place to me other than what is designed for me to experience, right? So I thought I was good. I was good because I've been navigating, you know what I mean? I've been drifting, I've been floating, I've been riding the wave that the Most High has for me, right? However, I've learned again in these last couple years that trust is a process that can be deepened, right? It's an experience that there's levels and layers to it. And the more you surrender, right, the more we release the grip, the more we remain open and grateful, right? We get to see so much of what the Most High has in store for us. And it very rarely happens the way we thought it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it very rarely, at least in my experience, maybe in somebody else's experience, it happens the way that they had already envisioned it. However, for me, no, it has not been unfolding in the way that I thought it was. And I say that humbly because I don't even have in my mind any particular way that it's going to happen. I'm open because I don't know how this thing is going to unfold. I just know the definite is that it's unfolding. You know, it's not even a matter of if or when, it's now. Like it's unfolding right now. Every day it's unfolding. However, how, I don't know. And for myself personally, it took me some time to grow, to mature in that spiritual department of releasing the how, because the human brain, right, especially with this human experience, when there's uncertainty or there's a lack of a definite, our mind is designed, listen to this, our human brain is designed in such a way that it looks to piece things together to make sense of things, right? To almost be able to foreshadow what's coming and how it's going to happen. And when our brain is unable to do that, if we don't have the balance within our own thinking, we can go off. Like we can go off. And when I say go off, I mean like we can spiral out of control, right? Because worry, fear, doubt, confusion, stress, anxiety, right? These things, they come to the surface. However, when we have that spiritual maturity, meaning that you've been through enough, you've experienced enough to where you had to lean on, rest in the bosom of the unseen, the divine, the Most High, to handle it, to take care of it, because you couldn't see a solution, like you couldn't see an answer or a way out or a resolution to whatever it was that was taking place. And every time we released, it worked out. And it usually works out in a manner where we couldn't even have predicted it, right? The saying, like, you can't make this up. I couldn't have made this up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could not have imagined it and written it any greater than how it actually unfolded. And these thoughts, these rhythm of thoughts, this spiritual maturity, this trust, this deepening of trust, this leaning on whatever it is that you have as your rock, right? That you stand on as your foundation, that is the link, right, between you and the spiritual world, the divine, the most high. This is a transmission to bring to your conscious awareness that it's time to lean more into trust, to surrender to the process, and to understand that things are not going to happen the way that you want them to happen all the time. They're not going to happen the way that you have in your mind, the way that you planned out. And just because it doesn't happen the way you have in your mind or the way that you planned out, doesn't mean that something is wrong or something is in error or something to be fixed. That's another thing. That's another lesson that and I won't even say a lesson. I'll say that it's another principle that I've been integrating that my mind has been programmed to do, right? My mind has been programmed to solve a problem. I'm a Virgo. I have several Virgo placements. And if a Virgo can do anything, it's figure out a solution to a problem, right? It is to be able to correct or fix something, right? You know, Virgos have this rap for wanting to fix people, you know, take on projects. And it's said as a negative, and it really isn't, because it's really a blessing, because it's the way that our mind is wired to view things, and we can see the void, like we can see the gap. And then in that gap is where the solution is, right? Or where the solution needs to be applied so that everything could be harmonious, right? So I've recognized that about myself, and I've had to come to terms with the reality that just because something isn't going the way that I planned or I intended, or even the way that the vision was shown to me or the communication came through to me, doesn't mean that it's something wrong or something to be fixed, right? It means that there was a shift. That means that there's a new element being introduced. And instead of allowing stress to come in, or worry or concern, right? Or the alarm to ring, because the alarm be ringing, ring-a-ling-a-ling, right? Instead of that, look at it with curiosity, right? And explore it from the standpoint of observation of what this is actually showing me and what is actually available in this moment, in this experience, in this reality right now. And that also relates to the power of being present, right? A lot of times worry and stress comes from the fact that we're going too far in the future, right? The worry or the stress comes from, oh my God, what about, you know, this or that? And because this didn't happen, it's going to affect this, it's going to affect that, it's going to affect this. But we ain't even really sit in this moment to see what's being shown to me. Why did it happen this way? What's in this experience for me right now, right? That helps eliminate the stress and the worry. It helps keeps us in a place of balance and in divine connection, right? When we can lean to either going directly to source to inquire or trusting in the process, right? And I think trusting in the process is where the power really is. I mean, yes, you know, we can always go and ask source at any given time, you know, our spirit guides for signs, for understanding, for clarity. And that's always available for us. And when it resonates for you to do that, I definitely encourage you to do what resonates with you. However, sometimes with spiritual maturity, it requires for us to be still, to remain in a state of peace, to remain in a state of gratitude, and to be open to receive whatever is available, right? Sometimes things take place in a manner that it shakes some shit up. It shakes it up, right? Only for things to settle perfectly, exactly how it needs to, not only for the original idea, however, so many layers that the natural eye isn't able to see and that our mind hadn't even considered. And because this plan is multidimensional, because this reality that we live in, it's multidimensional. We're not just here in the 3D, right? There's the 5D, there's the spiritual, divine connection. We have emotional, energetic. There's so many layers to what it is that's taking place. Not to mention, there's the past life expression of you in multiple past lives. There's also the future you and the many timelines that's available based upon the decisions that you make today, right? So there's a lot going on. If we could just sit still for a moment and really lean into that trust, like lean with it, you know what I'm saying? Like lean with it a little bit, we'll find that everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to happen. And not only is this a transmission, ooh, the chills. It's also a reminder for me and perhaps for you, right? That our trust, come on through, spirit. Our trust and our ability to remain at peace in the midst of the storm is one of our greatest superpowers. So if you find yourself going through a storm, or if a storm is starting to brew, or in the future you find yourself in a storm, remain calm and trust that everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to happen. And instead of trying to grip the wheel and control what's happening, release control, release the grip, and remain in gratitude. Remain in gratitude for this very moment that you're in and everything that's in it that you can identify. Express gratitude for it. Take a moment to remember, right, that there have been plenty of times where the storm was brewing, you was in the storm, you didn't know, you were unclear, however it worked out. So remembering is powerful too, that you've never been left alone. Even when it was uncomfortable, it was distasteful, you might even say it was horrible. Whatever the experience was, you got through it. And you didn't get through it by yourself, right? Because we're never alone. We have a host of angels, spirit team, ascended masters, ancestors, higher self, source, the universe that is always around us, always accessible, always available to hold us and to hold space for us. So remember that, right? And I know that it can be challenging, right? Because the brain, it does its thing, right? However, what I've learned is it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, right? And we have to hold space for that, right? Because it's doing what it's supposed to do. It is supposed to figure things out. It's supposed to sound the alarm. It's supposed to act as a barrier, a protection for us, right? However, when you come out of your mental space, when you come out of operating in your mind and you operate in the divine and you open your heart space to be a vessel, to be in alignment, to co-create with source, then we have to give space for our mind to do what it's going to do. However, speak back to remind ourselves, right, that everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to happen. And that we're being held and we're being supported. And that our plan is not the greatest plan. Our plan is not the best plan. Our plan is like a blueprint or a skeleton. I'll say it like that, a skeleton, right? It's like a framework. However, it can shift and change as necessary. So remaining open, trusting in the plan, trusting in the unseen, leaning more into the trust that we have not been left and abandoned up until this point, and it's not going to start now. And to know that the Most High Spirit, God, is the best of all planners, the greatest of all planners. And we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right, more than all right. However, there's a spiritual maturity that we have to grow into. And all of the ideas and the keys that I shared are different expressions of what causes us to be rooted and solidified in the divinity of what's taking place, and be assured and affirmed and confirmed in our divine connection to source, right? So I'm gonna leave that idea there. Feels like that transmission is complete. And if you have been here before, you know it is close to the 30-minute mark, and it is time for us to express some poetry. So I do have this poem over here. However, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we'll stick with that one. It's a little long. I was trying to see if I could choose a shorter one. However, it's my will that you receive exactly what was needed in today's transmission. As always, I welcome any of your thoughts, feedback, or experiences. I appreciate every like, share, comment. It's my will you receive what was available today. I feel like the frequency, I felt it several times throughout the transmission, and it's my will that you get to experience it as well. So on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the poem. And this poem goes as follows. His eyes surveyed my landscape and said, I'm in the presence of a masterpiece. I smiled, flattered, but nah, sir, I'm a master at peace. I exuded in my energy, a force. Can't you see? In that moment, I understood why I get all those stares, yet few dare approach. My aura demands authenticity, pure energy from a clear throat. But your mask hides a deeper truth, one you're unwilling to face. And in my presence, there's no hiding, no cracks, all space. You think I can't see beneath the surface, the layers you flex to cover the pain, the fears you'd rather keep buried. Sir, I see it all, clear as the rain. What you don't know is my pineal is untouched. And though I stayed silent, I saw you, love. I saw so much. When your heart called out in need, I answered as I was meant, plugged into divine, my source, your soul's medicine, heaven sent. I watched as you struggle to grow, trapped in cycles, bound by the past. I held space for you to rise, but the lesson was for you to outlast. And so I stayed until one day I realized that by clinging, I was bound. I chose myself. The chains fell away and freedom rang out profound. And choosing me, I set the tone for others to rise and reclaim their own. My journey, a beacon, a path revealed, proof that wounds can be healed. Now I stand no longer tethered, unshackled, aligned with my dreams. The love I once gave flows freely, unchained, filling the space between heartbeats and seams. I forgive those who left scars, for in them I found my strength. The wounds that once bled have healed, and now love flows at great length. Through the darkness, I was birthed, my purpose etched deep within. I walked through the fire and emerged again, shining, glowing, and free from sin. From the frequency of lack, I rise, destined to never turn back. Forward, we can move into lives of plenitude. I offer these words with deep gratitude for the journey we've traveled, the lessons we've learned, and each step we've grown, and now we return. Embracing our power with hearts open wide, we claim our abundance, no longer to hide. With each step we honor the path we paved, the struggles, the triumphs, the lives we saved, a legacy of light, a journey divine. We walk in our truth, our spirits aligned. And that was a legacy of light. Until the next time, love, light, and peace, y'all.